my friends. Tonight I am talking to representatives of a company and of a product that enjoys the confidence of the greatest number of people of any single product ever known in the world. But we must constantly be mindful of the responsibility that places upon us.
What's interesting about Robert Woodruff is that his name is on so many buildings in Atlanta, so many places within the complex, but he's really a mystery. Not that much is known about him. There's just a few people that were intimate with Woodruff, his hunting buddies, his work comrades that would go with him to Itchaway. People had that vision of the big cigar out of his mouth as he spouted out orders. But the man himself, in some ways he's an enigma wrapped up in a mystery.
Because he liked to work behind the scenes, it's sometimes very hard to get at his motivations and his beliefs. He had core beliefs that came to him when he was very young. His first job was shoveling sand at 60 cents a day. He literally worked his way up from the bottom. When he got to the Coca-Cola Company, he had almost a sacred belief, a reverence for the product.
The passion that he had for Coca-Cola is probably one of the things that most people don't know. They know him as this great American businessman, but he was a great American businessman because he loved the product he was selling. How much easier is it to sell something that you have this great passion for?
That gave him a very long-term view. He knew that the Coca-Cola Company and the company's products were going to outlive him.
Your contribution is to treat the business and the product as a thing to respect, to cherish, to nourish, and to build, to surround it with character and organization, in fair dealing, in quality control, in advertising. This self-respect has generated outside respect till we are today as respected an institution as has ever existed in global commerce. Thus, the respect we command from others is founded on our own integrity and lies always within our control. This self-respect that generates the respect of others is therefore our most priceless possession. The minute we as an institution let it deteriorate, outside respect will depreciate too. The respect we as an institution command from the community is the sum of the self-respect which each one of us brings to our own individual job.
Another one of Woodruff's guiding principles was that obstacles were not barriers. If you think about it, when he took over the company in 1923, it was in turmoil. It had just been purchased. We had huge sugar debt. We had just come out of a lawsuit with our bottlers. There was turmoil everywhere. The first thing Woodruff did is he fired all of the salespeople and rehired them the next day as service people. We're going to go work with our customers. So that the barrier of turmoil around him played no role. He kept focusing determinedly and on the future about what Coca-Cola could be, and nothing was going to stop him.
When Mr. Woodruff took over the company in April 1923, you could get Coca-Cola in only 5 countries. That's hard to imagine these days. He knew from the minute he took over the company that he wanted to expand the company and the product's presence across the world. He went to the board of directors to get them to finance a foreign office. They turned him down. Mr. Woodruff didn't take that as a barrier or an obstacle. He went ahead and hired one man, Hamilton Horsey, set him up, and Mr. Horsey laid the groundwork, the foundation for what very quickly became the Coca-Cola Export Corporation. Barriers would come up daily, quarterly, yearly, but again, what was important to Mr. Woodruff was not this quarter, this year, or the next 5 years. Mr. Woodruff was looking 10 years, 20 years, 50 years down the road. And from that perspective, you can move forward intensely around any barrier that's put in front of you. I started working on Mr. Woodruff's papers, and I think I'd been working for 2 weeks. I came across a box with a bunch of materials, and in it I saw the phrase, "The future belongs to the discontented," and I was absolutely thunderstruck. I did not know what that meant. Here's a man who was at the top of his profession, who was successful.
What's fascinating to me is that Woodruff, the character, this gruff figure behind the cigar, the boss, you would never think that he's going to be the erudite wordsmith who would handwritten on the top of his speech say, "The world belongs to the discontented." The two figures don't go together, but that's what made him so special.
When you think about that statement, it's actually very powerful and very motivating that someone of Mr. Woodruff's stature could be discontented and have that drive him on a daily basis. A really good example of Mr. Woodruff's discontent happened at the 50th anniversary of the fountain sales in 1936. They were at the Piedmont Driving Club. There was a long parade of speakers who got up to celebrate and congratulate the company on this milestone. Mr. Woodruff didn't like to make speeches, and he stands up and he tells the crowd, "I wish I could celebrate with all of you here, but I can't. Instead of congratulating us on what we've done, all I see is missed opportunities."
He didn't exactly deflate the balloon, but he let a little bit of air out going, things are going great now, but we have to be prepared. We have to be on our feet. And that was the secret to Robert Woodruff, was that when things were going great, he was looking towards the future. When things were going bad, he was looking towards the future. He was constantly discontented, thinking that every single day, if he unearthed every opportunity, he could make the company a little bit better.
The danger in this business is that it has always so far treated everybody connected with it better than they have treated it, and thereby giving ease and comfort to too many too soon. To be a worthy representative of the product is a great obligation. As you travel around, you are confronted on all sides with the great success of Coca-Cola and the Coca-Cola Company, and that is always embarrassing to me because it makes me conscious of our shortcomings and how little we have done in proportion to our opportunities. Relatively, in comparison to some companies, we are a success, but no other company has Coca-Cola. Our successes give us a fair foundation to work from, but in the life of Coca-Cola, it is only a flicker. Let's use that flicker as a beacon to guide us into the future. The future, my friends, and the world belongs to the discontented.
The thing that made Robert Woodruff so successful was that his principles were timeless. His belief in people, his love of the brand, and his desire to see beyond the next hill, to always drive the business towards the future. Those are guiding principles that could apply to any business anywhere in the world.
Mr. Woodruff was a very complex man, but in a lot of ways he was also a very simple man. His message was very simple. That's something that resonates today, in 50 years, in 100 years. He believed in the brand. He believed that the Coca-Cola Company was people. He believed in moving relentlessly forward. And he believed that the future belonged to the discontented. Those are not ideas, conceptions that are bound to a particular time and a particular place. And they continue to resonate today. And I think that's what makes Mr. Woodruff so extraordinary. His philosophy was very complex, but when you get down to it, it was also very simple.
Coca-Cola, what is it? A drink, a soft drink, a beverage, a thing. A moment with Coca-Cola was pause that refreshes. And this was true long before we began to use that phrase in our advertising. We didn't invent anything in this idea, we discovered it. People had created it. And most of the best work we've done through the years has been to discover what people have created around Coca-Cola. For Coca-Cola is more than a product. Coca-Cola is an idea that is a custom of the people. The product carries this idea with it. Whoever you are, wherever you may be, Coca-Cola, viewed as a business, is people. People gave it their own name, and that name is ours, Coke. This is a big thought. The Coca-Cola business is people. People. That's what makes Coca-Cola forever interesting. That's why we all can be so proud of it. That's why you've seen all this equipment, coolers, dispensers, and the like. These are the tools which help us get close to the people, and the tools are in your hands. And if you feel the power of the tools, you'll feel the power of the opportunities. I want each and every one of you to remember, Coca-Cola has its own appeal and supplies its own demand. It does not live on the weakness of something else, but upon its own merit and strength. just like you all here tonight.